All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Diamond Rivera, and we are back at it with the live discussions with Diamond podcast. And this is episode 218. Yes, I said it, 218. We had to take our talents all the way to the DMV area. And this next guest that we are having tonight, for me, I have seen his work throughout the years, and one word I can say is phenomenal. But also that this gentleman here dances with so much passion. We had to have him on the platform today. And again, everyone, I am pleased to announce that we have here the one and only Ronald Rios. What is going on, my
Hello.
What is going on, my brother? How have you been?
Yo, what's going on, man? Hello, how you been, man? Like, how's New York City?
Hey, New York
You
City.
in New York?
Yes, I am always been in New York. I do my traveling sometimes, but based in New York, things are going well thus far in New York. How's everything out in the DMV area?
So you were like cutting off, like it was quite weird.
No, I was asking, how's everything for you out there in the DMV area?
Oh, oh, everything's going well, man. Just getting prepared to actually, for the first time, having a dance company here in the
Mhm,
DMV area. I mean, more like a co-ed dance company,
mhm,
and then we are very excited about it. Our debut will be July 16 at the SOS party for Mr. Earl Rush. It's like
yeah.
he has his SOS party every year, and always is a turn up party, man. Like I'm
Mhm.
so excited because every year, and I know, since this Corona year, we didn't have any celebrations, and he also didn't have his celebrations either. But I think after 2 years, I think he's coming back with his anniversary again, and I think he's always doing great job, especially for the DMV people, for the DC crowd, for the DC, Maryland, Virginia crowd, and I
No,
appreciate him for that
No,
because
absolutely. I mean, and again, like you said, performing is kind of that hometown feeling, and someone like Earl Rush, who has amazing events with the SOS All White Party. I've seen you there as well, man. You whether it's performing or social dancing, you just give it your all. You have fun. That's what I love. But Ronald here,
yeah,
for me, having you on means a lot. So, kind of,
uh-huh.
of course, we're a little bit short on time, but I really want people to kind of understand who is, and I'm going to throw this question at you, who is Ronald Rios before the stage, before the company, before dancing?
Oh wow, that's like, you know what? That's a question I never thought about it, to be honest. I've been just living Ronald Reels the present, and I have not going Ronald Reels like back, like back in the days. I guess Ronald Rios, before all that, I think Ronald Rios was just somebody who just still was trying to figure it out what really was his passion and what was his mission in this, to be part, in this world. I wasn't sure what was my mission. I felt like I needed to do something, but I never knew exactly what it was. And I feel like once I started getting introduced with different dances, that's when I kind of figured out, oh, wait a minute, my mission here is not just live the life, but also show people how to live life also through, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Through my experience, through my energy of knowing how to live. So I had to just transfer the same energy to other people and be like, hey, just live, man. This one time opportunity. You gotta just live and go 100 with it. Then I think that's what my mission is, and I feel that's why it's been my mission this whole time.
That's beautiful. I mean, and again, meeting you actually, I met you in New York, and for some time I thought you actually lived in New York, but you, like many other dancers I
Yeah.
know, traveled to New York, the mecca for salsa, but also dancing between New York and LA. I feel like, and also places like Atlanta and other places. I feel like, especially New York, like so many people come here to train with some of the best dances, best companies. But for me, my question to you is, what was that first moment or memory of going into like the formal way of dancing, the training aspect?
My first like legit memory.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I think being introduced, well, before anything, I used to dance like my Peruvian ethnic dancing, like
Hmm.
marinera and all these other Peruvian ethnic dancing through my mom, because my mom had friends that their daughters danced, and their friends were like, "Oh, my daughter looking for a guy. You should, for a boy, you should let your son get trained with that." Blah blah blah. And my mom was like, "Do you want to dance?" And I'm like, "I can try it." And I think that's when I was just kind of like, like I was 6, 7, and that's when I started like my mom started letting me train with these ladies and their daughters at their
Mhm.
school. And I feel like that's kind of sort of like opened up my mind to see exactly what was dancing about. But
Mhm.
it was super strict where I got really scared because I was a
Oh,
young boy. I was a young boy where I wasn't trained to be like, oh, you need to, be consistent
oh,
or
gotcha.
have this military training. Make sense? And I feel like as a young boy, when you come in from nobody being like so military except for your mom and dad, some stranger come up there and try to be military with you, it's kind of like, whoa, whoa, hold on, this is uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, during time things started getting a little much easier, and I started understanding, the process. And I guess, like I always say, the strongest will survive. That's what I always say. And I guess I kept surviving because I guess I'm the strongest one. But yeah,
I mean, it's
you know. But
2022
now,
and already you're.
right. So, the highlight basically of my dancing was that. And
Mhm.
that never leaves out of my head. Like the way that we used to train me, the military side, or
Yeah.
how they used to be so training me. Make sense? And I
Mhm.
feel like that kind of sort of like helped me keep reminding myself not to give up, even if things becomes impossible or hard. It's like, nah, I'm not giving up, because that's how mentally I got trained into training. Make sense? Like
Mhm.
they train me for dancing, yeah, but also they train me so also how to be strong and never give up on things. And I feel like that's what it helped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally
Because your
understand.
parents can, I mean, your parents can teach you that and can guide you through that. But at the end of the day, I feel like you will listen, but you will never take it serious if it's somebody else, a stranger comes up to you and really inspires you and tell you, listen, like you can't give up. You got to keep pushing, regardless of what it is. You got to keep pushing. And I feel like hearing from different people that were not part of my family, it woke up, like it opened my eyes more wider. Wait, my mom and my dad keep telling me that, but for some reason, hearing it from somebody else's mouth, it feels different. That
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Oh no, that makes perfect sense. But now my question to you is, what year and what event was like your first introduction to kind of the scene? That first social, that first event.
That really like opened up my eyes to the mambo.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can tell you that too. That's Jimmy Anton Social. Whoa.
Mm.
Jimmy Anton Social like introduced me to the mambo. Like I always knew, like I learned how to dance mambo here in DC, right?
Hmm.
But I never understood what I was listening to. It was like frustrating for me. Then I remember this guy that I used to dance with was in a company that I used to be at here. He said, let's go to New York. And I'm like, for what, man? He's like, let's go to New York. There's socials over there, the dance socials, they're awesome. And I used to go out here too. I was 22, and I was like, for what? He's like, come to New York City, you will have a blast with me. So I said, for one day, yeah, we drive over there and we'll come back. And I'm like, okay, I mean, sure, on a Sunday, let's go. So we drove to Jimmy Anton. Oh man, that social was like amazing. Not only the fact of the every dancer was incredible,
Hmm.
but also because they were playing live instruments with the music that they were playing.
Oh
So
yes,
that
yes.
opened up my ear. I opened up my ear, and that opened up literally like my on two ear. I would call it my on two sound. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I hear it now. I hear it now, and that's just like one thing that got me so like super excited, because I was like, I wanted like, and that's when I saw, back in, we're talking about back in the days, right? We're
Hmm.
talking about Santo Rico. We're talking about who else? Let me see. Carisma. We're talking
Yeah.
about
Oh yes,
like
yes.
old school, old school, old school. You know what I'm saying? All of them were there, and they were all, you know, like family. Even though they were like in corners, but they would still feel like family. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was just like, memorized. And so like, yeah, that was the year where I really learned what really mambo dancing was about.
Man,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
that.
the legendary Jimmy Anton Social, I think the longest
Yo,
running
shout out to
social.
that dude, bro. Because thanks to him, and the fact that I knew that he was Peruvian like me, I was like, yo, like that got me more excited.
Hey, I mean, absolutely. Again, Jimmy Anton is a legend in New York. So for me now, going from you first under like getting to know or being introduced to the socials and events, what was that first performance like?
So my first performance that really like I got really like inspired or motivated with, you know, like I guess I can say I have so many memories of performance.
Hmm.
Makes sense. But one special one that I can remember, it was when I got hired when I was in Los Angeles, and thanks to my, I had an agency called Trio Talent.
Hmm.
They got me a show. They got me basically an audition to go and dance, and then I booked the Latin Grammys on 2004, and I think
Hmm.
that was the one that I was like super excited about in Las Vegas.
Wow. And what artists were you backup for?
Well, they had us doing like Ivy Queen. They had us doing Victor Manuel. They had us doing like even rancheras that I didn't even know how to dance it. They would just had us like train us and put us into dance every single music. I went there only for Ivy Queen's audition, and
Yeah.
somehow they're all like, "Oh, we got to learn this different choreography for different artists." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"What? I thought it was just one artist." No, no, no. We got to learn. And I'm like, I was expecting them, but it was a great experience because I felt one. It was like the practices were like kind of feel like rushed, you know what I'm saying?
Ah,
And then
gotcha.
also it was really challenging because I was like, okay, I know I learned one choreography, but now you want me to learn six, seven, eight choreographies with different artists, different type of music, and it was just like, even with Rakim and Ken Y, like I had like trained,
Ooh.
and that was my best experience in LA. Like in LA was the best experience ever for me to dance with industries, and that kind of opened up my doors to work with Univision, which I did Descontrol. I don't know if you remember Descontrol, those shows where they used to dance at the beach and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
absolutely.
or at a
Yeah.
pool. Yeah, I was on one of
Wow.
those shows. I was doing that. Yeah, so it was like open up my doors to many things, and then and I guess the commercial part is like what I wanted to experience, which it also. I don't know if you saw my reel in my IG, but also made me do the Apple commercial when they used to have those
Uh-huh.
silhouettes in the back, like all those stuff. It was just like open up my door, especially because I look Latino, and I
Yeah.
had like long hair, and I had like remember that. And then what's it called? They always like I don't know, like I don't know. They were like, oh, I guess they like what they see, but
Yes.
LA is all about what you look like. It's not what you can really do. That makes sense. It's like they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we like how he looks mixed. He could be Latino. They think I'm Mexican. They thought I was Mexican. They thought I was Arabic. They thought I was Brazilian. They thought anything else but Peruvian. And I'm like,
Um,
whoa, like really? I look more Peruvian than anything. But okay, I get it. But yeah, the experience of that, it was just incredibly awesome. Opened up a lot of doors. And then things had happened, and I had to move back home here in Maryland. And after that, I said, I want to try something different. And that's when I
yeah.
moved to New York City to try more the salsa side because in LA
Yeah.
was more commercial side. So it wasn't like the New York thing. Makes sense, it was more commercial. So
No, and I totally understand that for me,
that was my experience.
yeah, performing myself in California, but knowing artists out there, I hear that. There's like that commercial style of salsa. That's the TV version
Yeah,
I've heard. But also when people are coming to New York, it's something about the flavor. It's something about like that grit, that getting into the music. Like you said, at the time, listening to a song and saying, I get it. I hear it, and but then going into those classes, whether you're going to a class for Yamule, whether you're going to a class for Delio, whether you're
yeah.
going to Afro Cuban, whomever you're taking, or Charlie Garcia, whomever you're working with, taking bits and pieces from each of them, but kind of give me an understanding from you, kind of in a summary, in a sense, like what was your overall experience like living in New York?
Well, New York City is raw, bro. Like the salsa in New York City is just straight out raw. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think like meeting Charlie Garcia or meeting what's it called, Eddie Torres
Yes.
Jr. I'm talking about the years when I first time started. I was just like, wow, like it was just a different level of dancing, you know.
Hmm.
Then later, like in the later after me just being caught up in the small, what do you call it? Like little people that I kind of knew who they were, but I didn't know much of them.
Yeah.
Make sense? And of course, I knew teams, but I knew teams, but I didn't know like how would I explain it. Like dancers more than I know now.
Yes.
Understand? I knew
Absolutely.
teams. I knew like Charisma. I
Yeah.
knew like Santo Rico. But I guess growing to see who was the director, which back in the days, you know, Thomas Guerrero. Shout out to him because he's
Hmm.
like one of my inspirations when I was young, and I actually bought a lot of his
The
DVDs.
DVDs. Yes,
Yeah,
I definitely
yeah.
remember those
So
DVDs in classes.
yeah, so you know, so that's the only director that I knew. It was just Thomas Guerrero from Santo Rico. That was the only one that I knew. When I went to New York, I was like Thomas Guerrero from Santo Rico. That's the only director that I know. Then after a while living there, they'd be like, oh no, then we you know this person and that person and this person and that person, and I'm like, oh, that's when I started knowing the more directors than just one. Make sense?
No, no,
So
absolutely.
it was just more like open mind, and I was just kind of like, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. So I was all over the place because I like everyone, and I just wanted to be, I wanted to be, I want to be everywhere at the same time,
Yeah.
and I couldn't. You know, I want to satisfy everyone, and I think my mistake was trying to satisfy everyone and not trying to satisfy myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
At the same
gotcha.
time, and I guess that became a little, how you call it, like overwhelming, you
Mm,
know. And people don't understand that, you know, people don't understand for you to literally like try to, how you call it, like, you know, not fit in, not fit in, but try to connect. I think it's the
yeah.
point of connecting to the community at the same time connecting with everyone.
Yep.
but but everyone depends on who you with, who you hang around with, who you're around with, and it's like they will connect with you related to who you with. I think that's what it was, and that's just something that I never liked it because I was like, bro, like it doesn't matter. I still love dancing. Doesn't matter if I'm with this person or that person, dancing with
Hmm.
that person. I love everyone because everyone's still fighting for the same, you know, that like the same passion that they want. Makes sense? Like we sharing energy, you know. But I mean, it was hard to connect with a lot of people for that reason. But you know, but then after that, I started understanding. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna force it. I just let
Yep.
everything just flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where, but it's a learning process. You understand? And I don't think people understand that. And I feel like maybe I have burned some bridges with some people. Maybe
Hmm.
they might see me like I don't know. Maybe they don't like me or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, I was trying to adjust. Make sense? Now I can
Yeah.
adjust and I can be myself. And like, but before I was trying to adjust to a different world. And
Yeah.
I feel like people don't realize that, and they start judging you right away. And I'm like, wait, hold on, let me adjust.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know, like you
I,
live here, you live here. That's cool, but I don't live here. I have to adjust to where I live, how I
yeah.
transportate myself, how I'm gonna eat, and my work, and keep doing what I love. It was a lot of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and
Trying
then
to.
I was stressed. I was stressed. I was really stressed, and I felt stressed. And the only thing that kept me, you know, kept me like, you know, my energy safe was the gym. I used to go to the gym all the time. I was just trying to focus on the gym and the gym and just
Yeah.
work in the gym because that will help me stop thinking so much and just focus on what I really love to do and not find, you know, something that I love to do for myself. And it was the gym besides dancing. So yeah, that was my experience in New York City, you know.
That's
But
amazing.
for overall, I met amazing people though, like yourself. I met like great people, you know, inspiration people. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that I wish like I can have in contact with. Like, remember the Pachangueros? I have not heard any of them.
Yes, I remember. Yes, yes, yes. But you know what it is. And I love that you can speak about those times because again, for me, doing this since I was 5, growing up in this community, but also you having that experience, especially in New York, around maybe like from 2010 to maybe 2015, 16, I feel was like a really amazing time, especially in New York, with multiple groups or companies being birthed and new ideas being created, but that energy. And for me, meeting people like yourself and places that we remember, like Danceport, Candelas, Bachata Mania, Jimmy's, Toro La Noche.
Yeah,
There were so many uh, groups and companies and places we could go to. But again, like you said, I think the big word that really helps me understand your story and that is accountability, the maturity and understanding. Like, hey, when
accountability.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's okay because as we grow and evolve, we understand like, hey, maybe I could have been thinking about it. I could have did things a little bit different, but at the same accord, you don't mean any harm. There's some moments or certain things, certain impressions we leave with people that we didn't understand then, but we understand now, and that's better than being
okay,
naive and ignorant to it. And for me
right.
now,
So there's when you said something that I kind of was thinking about. You say understanding people, right? And I'm
Mhm.
trying to understand everyone
Yeah,
and how and how at the same time how they trying to connect with you at the same time. It's like projecting then such an energy that I want to be able to connect with you. But some people are really not as open minded as they seem to be. If you notice that, like some people are
yeah,
just like okay, like or maybe just like not you won't get along with everyone. You see what
yes,
I'm
that
saying?
is true.
And it's
That is true.
okay.
That is, yes.
I told that to my students all the time. I told that to my students all the time. You just won't get along with anyone. But doesn't mean because you don't get along with that person, you have to give them the same negative energy they give you, bro. Like you
Yeah,
just be positive still, because they're gonna bounce to you, and you're gonna love yourself more for doing that than try to fight them through that energy. Like oh, you want to be mean? Okay, I'm gonna be mean to you. No, 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 don't do that.
yeah. I
Just
mean,
be yourself.
it's
Respect
true.
them.
It's true. I think too is just that you have a goal and you don't want anything to distract from that goal. So I mean, feeding into
Right.
negative energy doesn't help. But really, now fast forwarding and understanding, even currently, back of course in the DMV, and you having your company. My question to you is: what have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned over the years, from your trainings till now, having your own company? Now, congratulations for that. And like, what is that feeling
Thank
like
you.
of being the student and now being the teacher?
Well, somewhere or another, I always feel like being a teacher for somewhere or another,
Mm.
either because I was just helping somebody like getting through a choreography, or just I always felt like a teacher. I never felt like a student. I always felt more like I needed, like I'm willing to help anyone regardless if I knew what I was doing or I didn't know what I was doing. I was just giving you what my heart tells me to do. You make
Hmm.
sense? It's like if you need help, I got you. I just tell everybody, oh, you need help, I got you. Like you
Yeah,
sure? I'm like, yeah, I got you, because I don't know. And I always been that type of person, like real helpful, really understandable, right? But it gets to the point. It gets to a point. Understand? Because sometimes it's like you give, but you don't receive nothing back. So yeah, with the time you start realizing, man, I'm killing myself for what exactly? You know what I'm saying? So I think on that note, it's like from experience of really now becoming like more strictly into teaching, it can get a little like like basically a little bit overwhelming in the form of like things can things can be better, but they can be super perfect. But I think my problem is perfectionist, like being very perfectionist about everything. Understand? And I understand that things took time. Like I took time. A lot of people takes time. Understand? And I feel like maybe I'm not looking at it like how much time it took me, and expecting everyone to be able to move and think faster than me. But also the area where we live in too, because New York City, I mean, New York City training is like completely different than what DC training is, to be
yeah,
honest. You
yeah,
know, so DC training, they train maybe once a week, and they're like okay with that. And I'm like, well, if you really want to accomplish something, New York, they do at least 3 to 4 days a week. Make sense? And so it's like depends how they train you mentally. And I feel like if you consistent and work harder, things will happen more like faster than taking your time. The things will take more time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I feel
no,
like the moment when you're trying to give them that, like, I need you to be consistent. I need you to work harder. I need you to give me more days. They're all like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And I'm like, okay, sorry. I'm living in New York again. I'm
yeah, I
in New
know.
York, my bad.
Hey,
I'm in
but
LA. I'm in DC. Okay, let's take it easy. Makes
it's
sense.
it's the lessons you learn. But again, congratulations on having your own company, because again, it's not easy. Because I always tell people who especially get into business or own a company or organize a group, it's easy for 10 to 15 individuals to deal with you than you dealing with 15 individuals. And
Right.
it's a
Exactly.
total. So I mean, hey, I give it up to everyone. And lastly, before we get into our last segment called the randoms, my question for you is, what do you feel like the rest of your year is looking like for you in 2022?
2022. You know what? Like right now is exploring more, and I wanna literally like learn new things. Cause right now, as of right now, speaking to you, I mean, as my age, I'm not gonna tell you my age, but as being my age, I feel like it gets to the point where you just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna keep whatever I'm doing
Yeah.
and then call it a day. No, I'm not there mentally. I'm more like I want to do more. Salsa is great. So thanks to what's it called, Ave, this guy Abram from
Mhm.
Crown Studio. He's training me to do more about ballroom performances and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And now it's a different technique, it's a different strength. Yeah, I could be like, you know what? Nah, man, I'm good. But I'm like, no, 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 no. I like it. I like it. So my 2022 is growing more as a
Mm.
dancer and be more fully dancer than just a salsa dancer or a bachata dancer. I
Yep.
want to grow more fully as a dancer. Maybe that can help, make better what I already know, or just like open up my minds with different things. And then, and I like to always be, how you call it? One thing,
You don't want to be
that
one
everybody
dimensional. You
asked
want to
me,
be.
right, exactly. Everybody asked me, like, how you come up with so many ideas? I said, because I was training so many dances that it just, the choreography wise, it makes it a little much easier for me because I'm like, oh, I know what I can do here. I know what I can do there because I was training different dances. But I feel like when you have your mind open in different dances, like your creativity is so much bigger than what you think.
Oh no, no,
And then
absolutely,
I feel like,
absolutely.
I want to ask you a question. I've been wanting to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the days, I remember this, and I just never knew, like, like, but you did a performance
Hmm.
at Candela Friday or either Sasamania Saturday, one and two,
Yeah.
right? But you did a performance with a Luis Miguel song.
Yes.
Is that was you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because at first I was trying to like connect with you. So when I
Uh-huh.
heard the song, I was like, okay, that's a nice intro. But then you kept dancing the whole thing, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, I wasn't quite understanding what was going on. And I'm sorry to tell you that, but really, I was just like lost on space.
Oh no, but I think also too is that when you're so used to the rawness, the fire, the tricks, the lifts, the dips, and everything in between, sometimes somebody taking you out of that element for once, it's a change, and not everybody's used to
Right.
it. But just like I
I
can
think I,
do,
I think the instrumental part was killing me. I think, yeah, because when you hear, because you see some performances where you don't really expect him. It was a solo, right? So you
yeah,
don't expect him to do a lot of things. Like I'm not expecting you to be like Jorge, that Peruvian guy who flips
mhm,
everywhere and does his splits and stuff. I don't expect you to do that. But
yeah,
somehow connected to the music that you're playing. If it's instrumental, if he has a descarga, if it's a singer
yeah,
or something, I'll be like, oh yes, I can connect to you. Yes, I hear what you're hearing. Yes.
yeah,
But this was just like a mellow pace
yeah.
music. It was
Because
just like,
and for me is that I've also learned as a performer that I can do the mellow as well as do the fire when I perform, whether with Framboyan or if I perform with Robert or whomever, because to show that versatility, because what one person may not understand, the next person got. And the thing was, I appreciate you even telling me that, because that's okay. I think to
It is okay.
a lot of artists too are scared of that vulnerability of stepping outside of the box they're in. And the thing
Right.
is, yeah,
Exactly.
and for me, having the time I've been in this industry, I can go into I know me, if I dedicate my time to a specific company and group, I can get the job done, do what I need to do, learn what I need to learn, because I've had so many years of experience doing it. But transitioning from that has made me appreciate the art form even more. Don't get me wrong, I do get the urge to go out and perform again, and you never know. I always say that. But for
You
me, it's like,
should.
yeah, and for me at least, I definitely don't mind ever going back into a group. And I'm grateful for the moments that I did do routines like that, as well as do the routines that everybody is accustomed to. And for me, again, it's those moments, those like peculiar moments, those moments that make you like question and think. I love it, because it's like, hey, and sometimes that might not connect with you at that moment, but there's always that other person
Right.
that says, I see that vision and why you did it. And for me, again, was because I'm gonna be totally honest too. There are some people that it's hard for them to slow down that pace. There's a lot of people it's hard for them to find that creative balance. But then that's also how we learn. We learn what our niches,
Right.
we learn like how to maneuver. But again, I thank you, because these are the conversations we have to have. I mean, for
Right.
me, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then also you have to understand something that besides me, being in that moment and watching what was going on, right? The energy around the people, it kind of sort of like transfused what I was feeling, and I
Hmm.
couldn't connect with you any longer because the
Yeah.
crowd was not trying to connect with you either.
Hmm.
Maybe one or two, but I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, okay, like, so can somebody please like help me understand, like like everybody was
Hmm.
just disagreeing with everything. I feel like that energy it kind of transfused to what you feeling, and
Uh-huh.
that's when you don't even feel like connected to what you're watching anymore
Yeah.
because of that. Because but that's what I'm talking about with a lot of student with my students and everything. Is like we are connected through a lot of energy that I feel
Yes.
like we instead of trying to protect ours, we allow other people to take us, and next thing you know, we are being someone that we don't want to be, but because of the energy feels what it needs to be. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's like you don't sometimes you don't take control of your own energy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta lead into a different energy to feel in control. And I'm like, no, you're not in control. And that's
Yeah.
what happens with, especially with dance companies that sometimes fall apart because one person is not happy with something. And instead of people trying to be like, oh, change the person's mind and be like, listen, yo, everything's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it.
Hmm.
They rather lean into that person and then try to even after try to convince them, the person still be so negative that
Yeah.
they get into that. So now
Mhm.
everyone has the same energy of being negative,
Yeah.
and I'm like, whoa, like hold on, what is this going on? Makes sense. So it's like I don't know. I just feel sometimes people just have to have their own perspective and not make that mistake too, you
Yeah.
know, and they have their own mind, their own way of thinking, and that way don't just listen to what other people says. Experience it yourself or give yourself
Yeah.
time. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people don't want to create their own energy. They want to want to rely to other people's energies to feel connected, basically, to feel connected. And I'm like, you don't need that. Like, you just hold your own self, believe
Yep.
what you know, trust what you do, and that's it.
I no, I definitely agree on that notion as well, because again, it's like I think as you grow and you understand yourself, that's what makes things a little bit easier, because there's moments you try things and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. And at the end of the day, it's about learning what fits you. And for me to
Right.
also see as well with you, as you said, you talked about your growth from where you started to where you are now, but you're always still growing. And again,
Yeah,
I
I'm always still
appreciate.
growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it helps us transition out to our last segment, called the randoms. This is about 3 to 5 questions I have here for you that may deal
Okay.
with dance and everything in between before we close out. So, my first question to you is, what is your favorite Peruvian dish?
Oh, see, that's like, hmm, there's so many. My mom. Well, I know how to make maybe two or three,
Uh huh.
but my favorite Peruvian dish. That I'm like, bro, I need to have this right away.
Hmm.
I will say, even though it's not a dish, because every time I go to buy me one of those, they'll be like, oh, we okay. So it's arroz verde con
Hmm.
pollo, right? Which is like green rice with chicken,
Yeah.
right? But in the Peruvian restaurant, they don't sell that. They sell arroz verde con pato, which is duck. It's not chicken. So
Oh
every time I
wow.
go to a restaurant, I'm like, I want to have like a cebolla or arroz verde and chicken. They're like, no, we don't sell that. And I'm like, what?
But I
My
want
mom makes
that.
it all the time. And I'm like, my mom makes it all the time. Yeah, your mom makes it all the time because she can't afford duck, but but it's actually duck, not chicken.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like my mother will make it with chicken, and it will be amazing. So yeah, so I don't know. I guess I would say, that, or if not, it be lomo saltado, which is
Oh,
I don't
definitely.
I don't really do red meat, so I do more like chicken saltado instead of lomo. So
Yeah.
that I
Okay.
would say one of those two. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. I can see when asked you that question, like immediately it was like it was on your mind. All right. Next question here.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the power right now. If you were at one of your favorite socials or events or congresses and you had one last song and you can only dance with one person, who is it?
Oh, why would you ask me that? I'm gonna create enemies. And
No, you won't.
well, let me see. Which Congress you be, or which
It
person?
doesn't matter. You're at like at
Hmm.
any event you could be at, and the last song of the night, you can only dance with one person. Who is it?
Okay, so it's quite difficult because there's different people that I have danced with and I
Mhm.
have connected with, and then I just feel like everyone gives me a different feel. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
And then it's because their style or how they
Mhm.
move or just how fascinated they look. So I will say it will be between Carol Flores and
Mhm.
Amneris Martinez.
Okay. I love that answer. I love that. Hey, you get the song you get like a 7 minute song and you could dance with both of them. So I'll give that to you. So not a
Okay.
problem. All right. Our second to
Yes.
last question is, if you aren't dancing, you are doing blank.
If I'm not dancing, I'm usually at the gym. If I'm not dancing, I'm usually hanging around with friends
Mhm.
outside, like just sightseeing in the city,
Yeah.
not nothing like crazy. Yeah. So basically, either the gym or just hanging out with friends in the city and stuff, hanging out.
Okay, perfect. All right, and our last question here, I call this a spicy question, maybe. But all right, you're at a one of your favorite socials right now, and I think we all have this. But what is your pet peeve at a social?
Pet peeve at a social.
We're talking about hygiene, connection. Even is the dancer looking at you? Are they paying attention to something else? Like I think all of us always have that one thing that just kind of turns off the whole
A
dance.
serious dancer.
Ah, the grumpy face, no emotion.
Nothing, not a smile, not a murk, not a flirting, nothing. That's like, bro, like what's going on here?
Hey, and listen, I understand because sometimes some songs can feel like forever when you're dancing with someone that connection just isn't there. But again, I had fun asking you that question because again, I feel like if you're gonna have a dance, that's a connection, that's a moment between two people, no matter how long the song is. And trust me, I've seen you social dance, and I agree. I feel like you need someone on your same wavelength, enjoying the music, enjoying the dance. So definitely. And thank you again for doing
Yeah,
this segment.
I mean, if you think about it, right, real quick, like you took an effort to get ready,
Mhm.
jump in your car, go to a social to
Yeah.
have what? A good time. Understand?
Mhm.
So that kind of doesn't translate to me. Like, if you came here to have a good time, why do you have a bitch resting face?
Oh, I mean the resting, yes, the resting bitch.
You know what I mean?
But I think also too, if I may add, I think you kind of have that term. If they don't like it, f them. Am I correct?
Okay, keep going. What do you mean?
No, but what I mean, it's interesting because the honesty in which you say things, I understand because it's not only you that says it. Like many people, when I ask that
Everybody
question,
says it.
well, no. That is not true. That everybody has their own. They may not say it publicly, they may say it privately, but when I'm
Right.
asking people that question, I get all types of answers. But again, that simplicity of what you just said, like I understand because I've been in those moments dancing with someone who just has no emotion, and it's like, do you want to be that person that just says, you know what, during the middle of the dance, stop, or you're gonna finish that dance and finish that moment and then just move on? So, for me, everybody's different. So, I mean,
Right.
I appreciate you being honest about that because some people they have that hesitancy.
Right. Well, on my case, like if I, cause sometimes you're gonna dance with somebody that they're insecure with what they're
Yes,
doing, right? Like a
I
beginner.
understand.
You
Yeah.
understand? And it's okay. I understand that. So for that, attempt to be more fun. Attempt to like smile more and then flirt with them more.
Okay.
So even though they don't know what they're doing, they still smile or they still have
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like a moment that makes sense. So it's
Yeah.
like I understand you might not feel comfortable with the things I'm doing or with the things that you are probably not sure if you're doing it right or wrong.
Yeah.
But I want to let you know that we can connect to what we're listening to
Yes.
together. That's what I'm.
Absolutely no, and I appreciate that. Appreciate that statement because again, you're not the only one that thinks that. There are many people that think like that. And again, I appreciate you doing this segment because I feel like it helps us kind of learn a little bit more about you and how you feel about certain things, whether it's the lomo saltado, arroz verde, or pollo when it's really duck, and hey, it's just little things that help me understand you even more. And again, now it helps us transition to the conclusion of our talk. And I know, of course, you as a busy man, even as we're talking, you're getting prepared to go into rehearsal. So, but at least before we do go, can you give at least the audience and some contact information on how they can reach
Yes.
you and see what you're up to?
Okay. So fa- ooh, sorry. My my Facebook is Ronald Rios, the lead specialist, and then my Instagram is Ronald um lower what's it called,
Oh,
hyphen,
okay, yeah, yeah.
um
Oh, okay, I got you. I
yeah,
got you. Yeah,
that little
underscore.
John
Yeah.
underscore, yes, Ronald Rios underscore the lead specialist. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or you can guys reach me there. Actually, I put a lot of videos in there.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Isabella Acevedo. I don't know if you saw my Instagram or not, but it's a famous Peruvian girl who
Hmm.
is traveling back and forth from Peru to the DMV. And then recently, I got contact to dance with her
Hmm.
tomorrow, and I'm pretty like thankful because of that. And of course, I'm Peruvian, and she's Peruvian, and
Yeah.
and she's really well known, like an artist. She has won a lot of competitions in Peru, like in TV shows though, TV shows competitions, well known. So she's like well recognized celebrity in Peru
Yeah.
and North America. And now she's coming in the United States, and then now she's gonna be doing things here, and we're gonna be collabing together. So I don't know, bro. Maybe my name will pull up more than what it's pulling up right now, and
Mhm.
you never know. But God only knows when that time will come. But so far, I'm happy with what I have, and I'm gonna stick to it because it's my passion, is what I love, and nobody can take that away from me. You know what I mean?
You're definitely right. And again, everybody has their own journey. And honestly, thank you, Ronald, for coming on. This has been another special episode of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. I'm Diamond here with the wonderful and amazing Ronald Rios representing the DMV area. Everyone, thank you again. This has been a wonderful episode 218. Everyone stay safe